What if one of the most strategically powerful countries in the world isn't a global military giant, or a tech superpower, or a wealthy economic empire? What if it's an archipelago in Southeast Asia that many people outside the region barely notice? On the surface, the Philippines might seem like just another developing nation. But beneath the headlines and statistics lies a deeper truth. This country holds the keys to some of the most critical choke points in global trade, regional military strategy, and cultural diplomacy. The Philippines doesn't need to dominate. It doesn't need to be intimidating. It just needs to exist where it is. Because where it is changes everything. The reason world powers like the United States, China, and Japan keep returning to the Philippines again and again is not just about friendship or humanitarian aid. It's about positioning, it's about influence, and it's about access. In this video, we'll break down how geography, politics, culture, and history have quietly turned the Philippines into a true strategic superpower. And by the end, you'll understand why no major player in Asia can afford to ignore this country. 1. The geography that changes everything. The Philippines sits in a neighborhood that every global power watches like a hawk. The archipelago forms part of what military strategists call the first island chain, a line of defense and control stretching from Japan down to Taiwan, the Philippines, and all the way to Borneo. This line plays a central role in shaping how the United States and China position their forces across the Pacific. Look at a map. The Philippines is sandwiched between two major flashpoints, the South China Sea and the Philippine Sea. These waters aren't just symbolic, they are vital trade arteries. Roughly one-third of global shipping passes through the South China Sea. That includes oil tankers, cargo ships, and military vessels. Whoever has access to these waters has influence over trillions of dollars in trade. Now, imagine if the Philippines allowed a foreign military base on its soil. That base could monitor, block, or support any movement in those waters. This isn't hypothetical. The United States once had two major bases in the Philippines, Subic Bay Naval Base and Clark Air Base. These were some of the largest outside American soil until they were closed in the early 1990s. But fast forward to today, and things are shifting again. The Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, EDCA, between the Philippines and the U.S., has opened the door for rotating American troops and access to key locations across the islands. In other words, if tensions rise in Taiwan or the South China Sea, the Philippines could become either a critical ally or a major obstacle. That is strategic power without firing a single shot. 2. The balancing act between giants. Being in such a strategic location comes with pressure. The Philippines has to walk a tightrope between global powers. On one side, the United States, a longtime ally with shared history, defense agreements, and deep cultural ties. On the other side, China, a rising superpower just a few hundred kilometers away, pouring billions into regional development and asserting its claims over large parts of the South China Sea, including areas that fall within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. The tension is real. In 2016, the Philippines won a historic case at The Hague against China's sweeping maritime claims. The ruling was clear. China's so-called 9-dash line had no legal basis, but China refused to acknowledge it. Since then, Chinese vessels have repeatedly been spotted near Philippine islands, reefs, and fishing zones. Filipino fishermen have reported being harassed. Government vessels have been blocked. And despite diplomatic talks, the pattern continues. At the same time, the Philippines still maintains economic relations with China. Trade, investment, and infrastructure loans continue to flow in. This puts the country in a difficult position. Should it side more firmly with the West? Or keep playing both sides? The answer so far has been to stay flexible, to build alliances without burning bridges, and to use diplomacy as a shield and a sword. That ability to balance between giants is its own kind of superpower. 3. Military access without militarism. Despite its strategic location, the Philippines has never positioned itself as an aggressor. Its military is relatively modest compared to its neighbors. Yet the country still finds itself at the center of key regional exercises. Joint drills with the US, Australia, and Japan have become regular events. These aren't just symbolic gestures. They send a message to the world that the Philippines is not isolated, and it won't be easily pushed around. The revival of American access to Philippine bases under EDCA has raised eyebrows in Beijing, but it has also reassured other countries in the region who are wary of China's expansionism. Meanwhile, the Philippines is expanding its own defense capabilities. Investments in radar systems, coastal defense, and air surveillance are all part of the effort to modernize and secure its territory. But perhaps what makes the Philippines unique is its approach. It doesn't try to dominate. It doesn't project power beyond its borders. It simply defends its position, and because of where it stands, that's more than enough to matter globally. 4. Cultural influence and people power. Strategic power isn't just about missiles and shipping lanes. It's also about people, culture, and language. And here, the Philippines shines in ways that are often underestimated. The country is one of the largest English-speaking nations in the world. That alone opens doors in diplomacy, education, and global communication. Filipino workers, students, and professionals are found across every continent. They're nurses in London hospitals, engineers in Dubai, teachers in Japan, cruise ship staff in the Mediterranean, call center agents in Manila serving customers in California. This diaspora acts as a soft power network, spreading familiarity, resilience, and goodwill. Culturally, the Philippines is a unique hybrid, a mix of Asian, Western, and indigenous influences. That fusion makes it a natural bridge between East and West. Filipino media, music, and social presence have also expanded through platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and Netflix. The country's humor, storytelling, and creativity resonate far beyond its shores. This isn't just about fame or pride, it's about building visibility and relationships. And in international affairs, relationships matter. Influence matters. And the Philippines is exporting both, every day. 5. Economic gateway of the future. For decades, the Philippines was considered the sick man of Asia. Political instability, corruption, and underdevelopment held the country back. But that story is changing. Slowly, steadily, and sometimes quietly. The Philippine economy has been growing at a strong pace over the last decade. Major urban hubs like Metro Manila, Cebu, and Davao are transforming into global cities. The BPO industry is now a pillar of the economy, bringing in billions of dollars and creating millions of jobs. Tourism, real estate, fintech, and logistics are expanding. What's more important, though, is the country's role in future trade. The Philippines is part of ASEAN, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. This bloc is becoming one of the most dynamic economic regions in the world. As supply chains shift away from China due to rising costs and political tension, countries like the Philippines are becoming alternative hubs for manufacturing, logistics, and digital services. Its location makes it ideal as a shipping relay point. Ports like Subic, Batangas, and Manila are being upgraded. Infrastructure projects under the Build Better More program aim to improve roads, railways, and airports. All of this positions the country not just as a passive transit point, but as an active player in regional trade. 6. Historical resilience and adaptability. To understand the Philippines' strategic role today, you have to look at its history. This is a nation that has been colonized, occupied, bombed, and rebuilt over and over again. From Spanish rule to American annexation, Japanese invasion, and a hard-fought independence, the Filipino people have always found a way to rise. That history created a population that is adaptable, multilingual, and globally aware. It also produced a political system that, for better or worse, reflects a mix of Eastern values and Western institutions. The country's democratic system, despite its flaws, gives it flexibility in building alliances and responding to change. Filipinos know how to survive in difficult conditions. More importantly, they know how to grow beyond them. That's not just a cultural trait, it's a strategic asset. 7. The future. Everyone is watching. So where does this all go? What does the future hold for the Philippines as a strategic power? Geopolitical tension in the Indo-Pacific is not going away. China continues to build artificial islands and militarize contested waters. The U.S. is reinforcing alliances through the Quad and AUKUS. Japan is rearming. Taiwan is on edge. In this shifting landscape, the Philippines will be courted, pressured, and tested. But it also has leverage. It can shape outcomes, it can influence dialogues, and it can serve as a stabilizing force in a region full of uncertainty. That's what makes it powerful. Not because it seeks control, but because others need its cooperation. The Philippines doesn't have to become a superpower in the traditional sense. It already is a strategic one by location, by influence, and by choice. Now that you see the bigger picture, what do you think the future of the Philippines looks like? Will it lean west or east? Will it rise on its own terms? Or will it be pulled into someone else's game? If you enjoyed this breakdown, give this video a like and hit that subscribe button. We've got more deep dive content coming your way, stories the mainstream media doesn't always talk about. And if you want to understand the world through a smarter lens, check out our other videos right here on the channel. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.